All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Isani City Council to order. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, doing a roll call, we have everyone present except for Councilman Heeman. Do we have any public comment this evening? All right, hearing no public comment, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. Do we have any modifications?
Mayor and Council, I'd like to just point out that there were 2 items added today, which is business item K4 and K5 were added. They're already on the agenda, but wanted to make note that it was today that was done.
For some reason, mine isn't updating with, do you guys have that on yours, K4
Yep.
and K5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a new password?
Yeah, and it was asking me for it this morning, and then all of a sudden it stopped, so. Okay, can you read off what K4 and K5 were?
Sure. K4 is a discussion item from Park and Recreation Board member discussion. K5, providing I legislate to boards and
Okay.
commissions discussion.
So they're both my ideas.
And I,
Okay, perfect.
Luke,
I was just making sure they were on there.
did you want to bring that K4 and move that to the first thing we
That-
talk about?
That's kind of what we had talked about, so I would like to move that to K1 if we can, because it's before we interview.
Okay. Any issues with that, Jason?
Make a motion to approve with that change.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the agenda from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. All right, moving on to the city council meeting minutes. We have the meeting minutes from December 19th for the city council meeting and also the committee of the whole. Any questions on that, or otherwise I'll look for a motion to approve those.
A motion to approve the minutes. Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from excuse me, a motion from Councilman Merrill and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Announcements, we've got our city offices closed on January 15th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have our committee of the whole meeting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 16th of January. Planning Commission will be at 6 p.m. that same evening. City Council at 7, and the Park and Rec Board meeting we have on Tuesday, January 23rd at 6 p.m. Do we have any council committee reports?
Yeah, I was at the last fire district meeting, and I just wanted to point this out. Year-to-date on our call runs to the fire district are down 56%. I think it was like a 68% reduction from last November's compared to this November's, which is a huge number. And Councilman Holmgren and I were discussing it. There's pros and cons to a lot of that. My whole thing is, you know, somebody's cat's caught in a tree and they're calling the fire department to come out and help get this cat down. Is it necessary that our taxpayers pay for that? It's just a rudimentary explanation. You know, sometimes they get a call for assist. Most of the times PD is there to help assist the medical runs. You know, and if it is a life-threatening, generally at that point, they're just a dispatch away, and they're still gonna probably get their faster response time anyway. So I thought it's been a huge improvement from what our contributions have been. And that's going to help with those contributions in the coming years. Nothing against the gentlemen on the fire department. You guys do a fabulous job. I don't want to ever say that they're not. They are. You know, they're heroes in my book, just as long as, just like the police department are. You know, they have a duty and to do it and whatever. Back when I was on the department, we didn't get paid for on call. We got paid to show up to meetings. So there's a big difference. But we still had to go to trainings, just like you all still do now. So a lot of things have changed over the time. But that's a huge savings towards the city.
Yeah, I mean, I think we didn't actually realize a lot of savings this year just because we had so many fires, I think, was really the cause of that. But, so we ended up spending the same amount of money, but you know, but actually doing more of the fire service stuff. I mean, Travis, when we had originally kind of hashed out that idea, I mean, it wasn't something that I came up with, it was more you guys that had really offered that, and why duplicate our resources when we've already got our guys there and they can handle that kind of stuff. And so many of those calls were calls that you just, I don't know, not that fire didn't need to be there, but I mean, it's just, you don't need to have people standing around and not doing anything. 'Cause if there's nothing to do, I mean, it's just, what are you gonna stare at people? And, you know, so
I think, yeah, I think as a consumer as well, it's almost, I mean, we get a lot of medical calls at my house for my dad, and I think it's less stressful when you have less people there. And I think as for medical stuff, I think unless you really need it, which obviously there are a lot of medical calls where you do, I think it's actually might be a little bit less stressful for the people that call in to not have as many people there as well. But
Yeah.
the fire they do a great job. I remember I used to have some calls and they'd have to come and they'd have to carry my sister out of the house or whatever, and that was always nice. But I think it's a great way to reduce taxpayer burden as well as maybe some burnout or just getting random calls at 3 a.m. for someone with a tummy ache, you know, it's, I think it's a great plan. I think you guys are doing a great job with that, so.
I've had for years, since I've been a representative of the cities to the fire district, I've always brought up to the fact is I don't know why we can't bill for medical runs and accidents out on 65 or accidents on these roads. You know, I'd be willing to go on a limb and say 85% of the accidents out here on 65 aren't even from local people in the community. They're from out of town going through. And it's been brought to my attention numerous times that if they did that, they'd have to hire on somebody full-time to go do the accident reports, chase it all down. Then the next thing is, Alina has their, I don't wanna say this wrong, but they have it set up that anything like that has to go through them for billing purposes. So they've kinda sewed it up that it's their baby. And, you know, eventually, times are gonna change. It's not going to be that way, you know?
I think, Jeff, you might know more on that, but I think is it the medical director, whoever, because we don't run our own ambulance service or anything like that, but I think if we did, then maybe you could actually bill for that, but I don't know if that's right or not.
I think the issue, because this was brought up several years ago, but I think the issue was the staff hours of just getting the information and then putting it on the computer and filing it and then waiting to see. I think just the personnel hours was what really killed the project.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm not throwing any other entity in the fire district under the rug, but, you know, there is also that billing of those calls that we are no longer able to do because of that. And I think that would be another clash in that, which I don't feel is right, because like we said, when I was on the fire department, we billed for those calls. And it's realistically, the fire district, or I don't want to say the fire district is us entities, but the fire department itself has evolved into a position where they're taking on more responsibility. It's no longer it is volunteer, but it's paid on call volunteer. So it's not really technically a volunteer where you're just volunteering your time to go do this. It is a paid service. So why aren't we able to collect for that service, right? So that's kind of been, trust me, if we could get over this hump, and it might change. I think you were involved in one of the meetings at Station 1 when we had that conversation. That might change in the near future. So if that does, it's gonna be, you know, that much more asset to cutting that budget number a little more.
That's true, yeah.
Unfortunately, is like Jeff has said, is costs go up, fuel goes up, tires go up, repairs on these trucks go up. You know, they just got a new truck, that's all, what, at Station 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all new truck they just purchased. Where'd they come from? Do you remember?
Forest Lake or?
Not
No.
that Mounds View?
Mounds View.
Mendota Heights, maybe?
Mounds View, I think it was Mounds View. It's a truck that was way better than the truck that they had out there, and
30,000.
yeah, and they bought with capital replacement fund money. That's one of the things that we've been really pushing the fire district to do is to put in for capital replacement, you know. So that's, you know, always a key. I mean, they sit here and you listen to Finance Director Becker, you know, that capital replacement is a huge, huge thing down the road, you know. If you don't do it, when you do need to replace that truck, if you don't have the money for it, where's it gonna come from? So, there's a lot of things that are gonna change, and hopefully,
I think there's plenty of entities around the area that look at what you've done, Mike, and say, well, how do we duplicate that planning process, and how do we, you know, so, yeah, I don't think it's just the fire board even, but, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's, but yeah, I think there's, if you're not planning for ahead, then, you know, it's, what are you gonna do? So,
that was brought up in the public, or the budget, and it was brought up X amount of dollars in the other entities, which, you know, townships don't have a lot of control in what can happen. I'm not saying that we have a lot of control in it either, but what they get money they get is very narrow compared to larger area, as in a county or as a city. So, you know, we couldn't put that capital replacement in effect this last budget term, but it is coming next year. And if this, you know, if this deduction in runs counts goes, maybe we can flatline what our contribution is and still put more money in their capital replacement. No means will I ever sit down and say I'm gonna cut police, fire, public works. I do not wanna cut those things. Those are the heartbeats of what happens.
But I mean, what you can do is prioritize where the money
Prioritize where it
goes and make
goes.
sure it's going
Yep.
toward where it's gonna be utilized the best, yeah.
Yep. So, you know, that run count, you know, I never thought 56%, 68%, that's huge.
And it's huge, I mean, it's appreciated how, I mean, you guys took on that extra work too to do that. I mean, your guys are out there and working hard.
It's not, you know, we
I
were
mean,
there
it's maybe not
anyway.
extra, cause you're already there, but I mean, you know,
And there
more the
again-
primary.
In town, they're gonna be one of the first people on scene. And if an officer walks in and says, hey, we need the city of Isani, we need the fire department, they're gonna be that call, and it's probably going to end up, they're gonna probably end up getting there before the ambulance service does at that point anyway. So, it's not like it's, you know, there's those buzzwords that the dispatcher has to know, and, you know, if you're highly allergic to bee stings and the person's been stung by a bee, yes, the fire department is going to be dispatched in that medical run.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of keywords, and I give them dispatchers a lot of credit for that.
And Luke's right too. I mean, when you show up with a gang of people, I mean, there's plenty of times where we used to show up and, you know, half of the people would stay outside just because it's so overwhelming when you get a big group of people in there.
I think for PD to have to explain to people that just come onto the scene, it kind of distracts away. I mean, if you see in the hospitals too, when there's a lot of hands in it, there's more communication issues, so it's almost better to keep it nice and concise for those types of things. I think all around it's just great.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right, any other council committee reports?
I get the BMX Association on, I believe it's Monday, so
Okay.
I'll have more next meeting.
Sounds good. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll move, which really is the new K1, I suppose, what was K4. And that was the Park and Recreation Board member discussion, and that was Councilman Merrill wanted to talk about that, so.
You want me to start with this? Okay, so, you know, in light of having, I think, two great applicants here for the park board, and looking at some of the other park boards in the area, including the county park board, which has 11 members on the county park board. We have 5 on ours. I talked to Josie, and we can actually do 3, 5, 7, or 9 members by statute. So I was wondering if maybe it would be better for us to have, instead of 5-person board, a 7-person board. It gives a little more, you know, a little more opinions, or if a meeting is short, like tonight, we're missing a council member. And I think if you have a little bit extra cushion to have some more people with voices to be heard, I think that's good. The only downfall that I can see is there's a $25 cost per extra member per meeting. I think that's what it is, right? is it
Yes,
$25
park
per
board members
hour?
do receive 25.
Okay, so that's an extra $50 a month. But I think it'd be worth it if we have people that are well fit for the seats. I think the value is way higher than the $50 a month. Like I said, the county park board has 11, and at every meeting that we have, it's really valuable to have everybody's opinions, because there's certain people that have experience in certain things that you'd never think of that they already know. So I think the quality of applicants might warrant adding a couple extra seats. I know we'd have to change our ordinance for it. I think it was ordinance, right?
Yeah, so we would have to change Chapter 8 in city code, because right in that chapter, in the section park board, it does mention 5 members, and then the student seat. The one also thing to consider is, if we do go to 7, do we want to remove the student seat because we don't have 8 spots?
Do we have a student there now?
We do not.
I don't ever remember a time where we've had one.
We had one years ago, and it's been a long time since I remember.
George Wimmer was mayor the last time that we did have a student seat filled, that I can
The
recall.
only thing that I say that, Luke, how many board members do we have at present?
5.
Right now, we have 5.
Some of the seats are open, but yes, it's a 5-member seat.
So if say we took these 2 applicants, now, is that gonna be an even number?
No, we have to have one more to have 7. If we took the 2 people who applied this evening, then we'd be up to 6. Yes. And we would need to then ask for one more to come. But we couldn't take the 2 people this evening until we change city code, which would be an ordinance.
That's the only problem that we have, that we've struggled with these other boards to fill these seats.
I think with a little more reach out, I think there's actually more people that want to get involved than we might realize. In the past, I don't know that it was necessarily I don't think the board seemed quite as approachable as we do now. So I think we could get more applicants. I mean, I know there's other people that would want to get involved, and there's 2 very qualified ones that we'll talk to tonight. And I just would like to leave the options open, seeing as we've interviewed both candidates, and I don't necessarily know that either wouldn't be a great fit, so we should take advantage of what they have to offer, I think.
I don't disagree with that fact. I just, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
just warn you, we've
Yep.
had a struggle to get these boards filled.
Yep, for sure.
By adding more numbers, that struggle even becomes harder.
So we
That's-
usually come under budget on these boards then? If there's always an open seat, or
Well,
most of the time?
Park board, we've not really had an open seat, I don't think, for quite a while, where we had a little time where
I
we.
think park board's
couldn't
usually
fill
always
it.
pretty
Yeah, Park
full.
board seems to be pretty easy.
People want to
and-
get involved with the park stuff.
Yeah.
Even with the county stuff, it's not really a fight for the spot, but there's people all over the county that want to get involved. So every year, the commissioners have a hard time only choosing 2 from their district for it. You know, people like to get involved in, especially park stuff. It's important for your community.
I'm not opposed to it, I
Yeah.
just
Yep.
want you to understand that if all of a sudden now we're gonna have an even number, and it may be a while before we get another person.
Well, here's a thought for you there. Maybe do we want to have, well, it's going to cost you a little more. Do you want to have a second city council member sit on that board? Which I think would be possible if you have more people too.
If we can't fill it, type of thing.
I'd rather be filled with
So would I.
this resident.
Yeah.
But I guess at that point, and if we don't fill it sooner than later, then we would have to, I would think we'd have to, if a city statute allows it, to put a second council member on.
Well, like an alternate? So if the.
Well, we already
seat is-
have that.
We already
Yeah.
have the alternate.
Yeah, but-
And as right now, Mr. Heeman is the alternate. It's you.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it doesn't, I mean, if you have an open seat, I mean, even on the park board, I mean, they can do a tie vote and it'll still move to council, right? I mean,
We've had
Or-
even numbers
The
on
biggest thing
EDA
would
and
be to have
stuff.
a quorum and have at least 4 people of the 7 show up to
Yeah.
be able to hold the meeting.
yeah.
Because we had EDA, we had 1 seat open on EDA for quite a while, I thought, and that didn't seem to raise any red flags.
Correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just a guideline, it's not even a requirement to have an odd number on actually show up.
Like I said, I have no problem with it. I just wanted to caution you on that.
Yep.
I have no problem with that, but I still think we should always have that odd number.
Yeah.
Odd number always works best.
Yeah, when possible, I agree, yep.
So I don't care, I still think that odd number works best, because then you're not favoring one side or the other. That's- There's always gonna be that one person that's gonna have to side to one side or the other, so it, you know, the Park and Rec Board, that is, you know, even the EDA, you know, that's all a recommendation to us, even though we are part of the EDA and we are part of the Planning Commission. It's still a recommendation, even though we're pushing it through to the council. It's kind of
It's a
dumb to
sounding
say that-
board.
It's sounding board, but the Park and Rec is definitely, you know, is it worth that being brought to us? You know, you do have a council member that's present for that meeting, so there is, you know, they can say, hey, I'd rather see it go to council and let these guys decide, and that's that deciding vote. So I, like I said, I have no problem with that at all. I just edge of caution is I'd prefer to see that odd number, and I'd like to see us advertise for that other seat to be filled sooner than later.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think the park, one thing about that is it's kind of like you said, when you get people that, the more ideas you can kind of get going around them, and the more fun stuff you come up with. So
Yep.
it's kind of a, you know, I don't have any problem. And all of our other boards have 7 people on them too. So, I mean, I think it just kind of would match what we're already doing with everything else, so. I mean, obviously other than the city council, but, yeah, I'm fine with that. So as far as action that we could take tonight on that, what do you think?
We're not able to take any action tonight, other than, I mean, just letting staff know if it's consensus, staff will move forward with drafting an ordinance change. I just want to clarify, if you do want to have a second council member, I'm not sure, I'd have to check with the city attorney, because when we do have council members as part of the board, we do list that within the city code as well. And so we have 1 member is listed. I don't think we just do that by resolution. So I think if the desire was to have 2 council members,
I think it would be better, like what you guys are talking about, if we just had the 1 council member, probably is
I
fine.
think so too.
but
I don't think we'll have any problem filling the seat.
Probably not.
That Park and Rec is I think people like to get involved with that. So I don't think we necessarily need to worry about the second council rep personally.
And if we can't fill it, then we can look at it then, but.
Yeah.
But I'd say, yeah, maybe just for now, would have the goal to be 7 with 1 council member. And
Jeff, what are your thoughts on this one?
Give it a try. I guess it's not gonna add that much cost.
Right. And I think you can get valuable insight from an extra person. Every single person in this room has different life experiences that can lead to different ideas for parks. So I guess you need a motion on that?
we could do a motion on it, and we will have to staff will need to look into a little bit further, which will include this with our draft ordinance, if this passes by vote this evening. Because we do need to stagger terms, so we'll just need to look into that a little further, that if we add 2 more members, if they can even be on the same term. I don't think that'll affect what we're looking for right now, but for
Okay.
that remaining 7th, I'll just have to look into when we can start that 7th position, so,
Okay.
or
Well,
seat.
I would make the motion to proceed with staff looking into 7 members on the park board.
Second.
I have a
And
motion.
can you, I'm sorry, could you include removing the student seat in that motion?
Do we want to remove the student seat?
I mean, it's just never filled, and it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or do you leave it open?
Let's remove the student seat, because if it isn't gonna fill, it ain't gonna fill.
Yeah.
And if they are a resident and they're still a student, it wouldn't make any
Yeah,
difference.
true.
As long as they're a resident of the city of Isani, I don't care if they're a student or not.
What, I think you do have to be 18 to be a voting member on any board. That's by statute.
I would rather leave it, and if for some reason, there's some student that really wants to get involved, we
Well,
make
they're
it
not a
work.
voting member anyways,
Yeah,
so,
but we can
Not
make
be a
it
voting
work.
member.
Yeah,
Like even at the school board meetings, they have, a student representative sitting, to the side. I mean, we could have them to the side, or, I think we should leave it on there for someone. If someone's really passionate and wants to get involved, we can always make something work for them, I feel like. It's hard to get someone passionate and involved when they're younger, so if they want it, we should leave the option open, I think.
sounds good to me. So that original motion will be fine, and that was a motion from Councilman Merrill and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
So let me ask you, are we going to be able to put them both on if we decide that tonight?
No, we are not able to because we have to pass the ordinance first. So we'll draft it, we'll post it tomorrow, so it has to be posted for 10 days before we can take action at the next city council meeting and at that time. So I think that we could, if the council finds that they like both candidates tonight, we could ask them to come back to the next meeting and staff will just add that as an agenda item at the next meeting to follow the ordinance change.
Would we have to interview them again at that time, or we think we can
I think we could say it's at your discretion.
How about we did this? Take them both on, and then once we adapt that change, then just have them come forward at that time.
Yeah, I mean, how soon can we do this? Because right now, we're down to how many board members now? 4? Well, three
We have
park
one
board
seat,
members,
one
and then
open seat.
yeah, so,
So we could take one of the interviewed applicants tonight. And then we could hear, obviously, we have to hear out both of them, but then council at the next meeting, we could ask them to come back, whoever applied. I do think we will have to post it again as a vacancy for public notice, that we have another open seat coming.
And we might get another applicant in that time too, which would be great. Hopefully there's not too many.
I don't think you're gonna get,
Yeah.
you know, 10.
Right.
and You'll probably get maybe one more.
okay, so. Well, I think that'd be fine too. Yeah, do we want to just,
call.
do we want to just maybe, if they don't mind, maybe waiting until,
Or should we interview them now and then make the decision later, or?
make the interview now and ask them
I-
both to wait
I mean,
until we
I-
make a final decision, or?
The park board meeting isn't until after the next meeting, so it doesn't really,
Anything we got time to change it before then? So, but we have to, well, you're saying that we would have to reopen the post for the new position that's open too, before we could add that.
I think we will post it that it's anticipated to have an open seat.
And that would be the 16th meeting, January 16th?
And you're saying we have enough time to post it before that?
How many seats do we have available open right now?
Right now, we have 1.
I thought it was down to 3 or 4 that was only there.
I say you just proceed as normal and then.
I just don't want, if we're gonna take them both, I just hate to have, say,
Yeah.
one start this time and one,
Yeah,
you come back in 2 weeks. I think
Yeah.
it's just a waste of their time at that point.
yeah, right.
I think we should interview them both and then decide at the next meeting if
Yep.
we can do something
I
like
think
that.
that should be the way it should be done.
Yeah.
I think to err on the side of caution, we'll have to look into it. If we do open that, if we approve it on the 16th, that we have an additional seat, maybe required to post that for a length of time that it's open before we could put somebody right into that spot. So we'll have to look into it.
Okay.
If we don't, if there is not, excuse me, a requirement to post it, then I think council could take action to appoint the other person who is, who applied and was interviewed on the January 2nd meeting, put them in, but I can't say so without looking into it further.
Would it be possible to just interview both tonight and then come back with a decision at the 16th meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
I think that's the easiest, most streamlined way to do it, personally.
Yeah, I
Let's
think,
ask them, they're the ones that
Yeah,
are doing it.
true, yeah.
I mean, I just hate, like I said, I just hate to say, you know, use one for example and say we're gonna accept you as the board, even though we have full intention to accept the other one to fill that other open seat. It just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm not trying to hurt feelings, but even though they both know they're gonna happen, it's just, who do you say, okay, you start now and tomorrow, in 2 weeks you come back and then we'll accept you. I just
can we have them play rock, paper, scissors?
flip a coin.
I'm gonna leave that to your discretion.
Can I really do that? Because I'll do it.
Let's not set a
All right.
trend here.
All right, all right. All right, well, let's go ahead and do the interviews, and then maybe we'll ask on this, how about we ask on the question there, are they okay coming back for a final decision?
Or they'd rather compete for the seat now.
Or, would they prefer to, or maybe one of them says, I don't mind waiting and go ahead and put the other person on, or, well, let's just ask them a question. Hold on, let me jot this down then, because it's gotta be the same, so. Okay. Oh.
Now you gotta ask the same questions to each of them, right?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm just, Josie's, you want to go ahead? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So we'll go ahead and move on to what was K1, it'll now be K2, interviewing the applicants for the vacant Park and Recreation Board seat. And, let's see. Do we have an order established here? Is it? Okay. All right, so Taylor, you are going to start, it looks like. So if you want to come on up and state your name and address for the record, please, and then I'll have a few questions for you.
Okay, I'm Taylor Lundeen. My address, you said?
If you don't mind, yeah.
Yeah,
just-
416 Bluebird Court, Northwest, Isani 55040.
Okay. And could you tell us about yourself and why the city council should consider you for the Park and Recreation Board seat?
Because I'm a local parent in the residency, so I can understand other parents' wants and needs. Jeez.
Okay. Do you have experience being a Park and Recreation Board member or similar experience that would help you in this role?
No, but I'm willing to learn.
Okay. And what do you feel is the most important role and the purpose of the Parks and Recreation Board in our community?
Listening to what the community wants to keep and to grow with.
Okay. And what do you believe are the top priorities for the city's current park system?
Keeping it clean and safe environment for everyone.
Okay. And do you have experience in long-range planning? Please explain.
Yes and no. So I currently run a daycare, so I have to plan out my numbers of when I have an opening for a child. And then also just simple life things, so like a wedding planning, and then simple bills and savings planning.
Okay. The Park and Recreation Board reviews and makes recommendations on the overall planning, management, and policies of our park system for the city council. How do you plan to tie that into the overall goals of the city council?
Just bringing new ideas to the community while saving the community money in the same perspective of it.
Okay. And if you could bring a new or enhanced feature, event, or service to our park system, what would it be?
For instance, on like the Isani walking trail, I would post a pedestrian approaching, just because I know some cars do not pay attention to that, even though that they do have a stop sign there on 299th, and then the road prior to that.
Okay. The Park and Recreation Board typically meets the fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Does this fit with your other time commitments?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add to assist us in considering you as a park board candidate?
I'm looking to build my knowledge as I am younger generation, and I'd like to get more involved with my community.
Okay. And are you okay waiting for a final decision until the next meeting? Okay. Would you prefer for us to make a decision tonight at all, or or would you have one preference or another if you waited to start, or would you want to start right away, or?
It doesn't matter, whatever's easier for everyone.
Okay. All right. That
Perfect.
sounds good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Taylor. And, well, any other questions, I guess, for you guys? Remember, you have to ask the same one from both
Yeah.
candidates, but.
How long have you lived in the city?
I moved here in 21.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Benjamin, if you don't mind, come on up and state your name and address for the record, and we'll have some questions for you.
Name is Benjamin Damaris. Address is 606 Hickory Street, Southwest, Isani, Minnesota, 55040.
Okay. If you could tell us about yourself and why the city council should consider you for the Park and Recreation Board seat.
Local parent, have a couple kids. One of them really loves the parks around here and want to get involved in some fashion. Applied for the council member's position that Holmgren is currently sitting in. So still trying to get involved.
Okay. And do you have experience being a Park and Recreation Board member or a similar experience that would help you in this role?
Similar experience. I've sat on other boards and councils in the past, from student government up to the Little League organization in Circle Pines, Minnesota, helping out with their umpire training and coordination program.
Okay. And what do you feel is the most important role and the purpose of the Park and Recreation Board in our community?
Fair and equal access to fun, health, and learning. A lot of the other park and recs in our area here in Minnesota really focus on all those aspects. We want it to be fun and be able to have that access and that we're learning something at the same time. That's kind of why we have these in the first place, is to preserve that history and knowledge of what we have around us and have a general appreciation for it.
Okay. And what do you believe are the top priorities for the city's current park system?
There's a balance between growth of clean, safe parks and then upkeep and repair, modernizing.
Okay. And do you have experience in long-range planning? Please explain.
My long-range planning experience comes in from my day job, and I'm an IT administrator downtown, and a lot of my stuff is 3, 5, 7 years out, making plans, getting things in a rotation, getting budgeting scheduled out.
Okay. The Parks and Recreation Board reviews and makes recommendations on the overall planning, management, and policies of our park system to the city council. How do you plan to tie that into the overall goals of the city council?
Yeah, I'd like to tie that into the board's ideals for growth. I know that in past meetings, we've talked about how we're currently sometimes viewed as a bedroom community, that we have a lot of people who live here and then work elsewhere, travel elsewhere, and trying to bring some of that back home. And I think that the Parks and Recs could be a good motivator for that. And building that out the right way is going to increase that opportunity.
If you could bring a new or enhanced feature, event, or service to our park system, what would that be?
I would say that'd be inclusive parks. The nearest one to us that is handicap accessible is, I think, 43 minutes away down in Crystal. There's some other really fun parks that are down in like Vadnais Heights, in that area, Shoreview, that have a lot of different materials that they can play on that are safer, don't get so hot in the summer. Slides especially can be kind of a bummer for the kids. If it gets too hot, I know, when we grew up, it was all metal slides and there were no railings on anything. And at this point, we do have to make it safe but fun. And so I think we're definitely getting there. Bluebird Park is great and a highlight of our area, but there's definitely some growth that we have as an opportunity. The inclusive parks aren't boring for kids who are physically abled. There's a lot of different skills and challenges and activities, learning that can be built into those. But at the same time, giving the opportunities for more than just accessible swings. There's actual ramps that can be built. You can get them up on different things. I've seen a few in Wisconsin too that have very large, you can put the entire wheelchair on something that rocks back and forth. And so it's a lot of different opportunities for those who are otherwise without an option.
Okay. The Park and Recreation Board typically meets the fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Does this fit with your other time commitments?
Yes.
And is there anything else you would like to add to assist us in considering you as a Park Board candidate?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. And are you okay with waiting for a final decision until the next meeting, or would you like us to make a decision tonight, or?
I'm okay waiting.
Okay, all right. And then how long have you lived in the city of Isani?
Just over a year.
Okay.
If I remember, you said you lived in the area prior though, didn't you?
Yeah, Forest Lake.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so with all that being done then, do you guys want to wait until the next meeting to, and so you think at the next meeting, potentially we could appoint both of these candidates? Or we may only be able to appoint one still at that time if we have to post it for enough time to,
Mayor, I'm still looking into it. I'll
Okay.
have to just make sure that we could appoint without a certain number of days of posting.
Okay.
For sure, we could take one. We could take one this evening because that's what we have available. but I can't say 100%. Worst case, it would be the first meeting in February.
Okay. So maybe we want to just, I don't know if we need a motion, I guess, for that, but maybe do we want to just kind of give direction that we'll be in communication with these candidates on, when we would make that final decision and that type of thing, and when they would be getting started? Okay. Do you need a motion for that, or that's just, you just want to take that as direction, or?
Because we interview the applicants, I think it would be best to have a motion of what our action plan is.
Okay.
Make a motion to what Mayor Gordon said. Then I have to repeat it word for word.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. So thank you guys for coming in, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So, and thank you for both, not giving up. I mean, it's when we didn't pick you for the city council seat, to have you come in and still wanting to get involved, and that's awesome to see that. So,
You guys didn't want to give up, so I didn't want to have to choose and which one to give up on, so I think it's a good,
I think they're both.
Yeah,
I think,
right.
well,
They're both great.
once we get through this, we have to, the waiting periods and reopening, whatever. Just please be patient. It's just, our hands are tied to what we
bureaucracy.
can do at this moment. I totally agree. I think more minds on something like Park and Rec is huge. I like both of you very much. I think that you both can do a very good job on it. I mean, if I had to pick somebody tonight, I'm glad I don't have to. I'll just be honest with you. And I appreciate you both being understanding with that situation. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'd just soon put both of you in there.
Okay. Well, so we'll move on to, what is,
We gotta finish this one.
oh, well, yeah, well, is there,
so there's a motion, a second.
yeah, we did that, but I mean, Steve's saying as far as the committee assignments.
K2, yeah, community assignments.
Mayor, I do recommend that we go through that resolution, and then when we know for sure which date we're going to be approving and choosing the applicants, we'll bring that resolution back for an amendment.
Okay.
I suppose that's kind of ties into that. Right?
It does tie into that resolution, but I think that we can definitely move forward now with doing the council appointments.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
The only thing I would have to say is, nothing against either one of you two. Councilman Carlson was the alternate to the fire district. I suggested I'd say leave everything the same except for the alternate would, in my opinion, should be either Heeman or Merrill.
yeah,
Just for that, there's not gonna be a conflict
Conflict
of
of
interest.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
just, let's be very transparent in that.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to switch things up a little bit. Steve, I appreciate all the years of service, but we gotta switch it up a little bit, I think, on the fire district. And there's nothing against you, but I have an issue with how long you been on there? Like 10 years? It's been a while, yeah. I think to have a better, well-rounded council, to have people move around. So if they're 2-year terms or 3-year terms, but that's just, I think we should switch it up.
Well, my term as a council member, if I rerun or not at that point, is this 2024. I'm done as a council member if I have to rerun. I'm also already the chair of the fire district.
Oh, I
So,
get that.
and then that ends up changing all that, but whatever you want to do, but I've been there long enough that it's only another year that I'm done.
Yep.
So,
But I think it'd be nice to have you advise somebody in that role so they can get a faster understanding of what really goes on the fire district.
well, then there again, also, they could still go to the fire district meeting. It doesn't have to be on
I
that
get
board.
that, but I just think we should switch it out. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm only one vote right now.
Personally, I think, Steve, I think you do a very good job on there, and I know you have a passion for it, and I'd just assume leave you in that.
I think I agree. I would like to, if it's okay, I would like to maybe throw my hat in for the mayor pro tem position, just because I plan to be either on council for a long time. I'm gonna be living in the city for a long time. I've always kind of gone back and forth whether or not that was a good seat for me, so I would like to be the pro tem mayor. If anybody else has a problem with that or would like to vote on that, or otherwise, I like all the commissions I'm on. I like the school board, Chamber of Commerce. I can't make it to the CI Bike Walk Trail this year, but I like to be involved, so I think I'm happy with mine.
Mayor Pro Temp isn't something that's on this list, just so you know.
Yeah, it's on number 2.
Is it number 2?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, down there?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't even look that far down that list.
So I'm good with
I'm
mine.
just looking at the appointed positions for boards, that's all.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's tackle that.
Yeah.
I think first here. So Committee of the Whole, obviously, we're all on that. Economic Development Authority, we're all on. Park and Recreation and Culture, that's, right now I'm on that, and I'm willing to do that again if you guys, unless somebody else, has an interest or wants to do that.
The what?
The Park Recreation and Culture Board.
I don't think I'm a good one for that one.
Probably not.
I'm just saying.
I used to think I wasn't a good fit for that either, but I mean, you get in there and it is a fun board to be on.
Yeah, but it's on the, what, 4th Tuesday?
Well, that's true.
I'm busy that day.
I saw my, otherwise
Yeah,
I'd be an alternate too, so.
It is a hard one. Sometimes I have to cut out early to get to the fire board meetings, the fire meetings, but.
So maybe, I mean, would it be better to have just George on that? or-
I think that we had talked about that in the past, because I remember kind of at the, the middle of the year, I had brought that up, that it was kind of tough, and nobody else really was able to do it either at that time, and of course, Jeff has the same issue that I would have with that one, so, I think I can continue to do it. It's not been a much of a problem. There's been a few times where I've had to maybe cut out early, but.
And I would love to if I wasn't, if the county
know you
park board
would,
meetings
yeah.
were at the same exact time. It's like-
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I guess I'll stick with that one. Planning Commission, obviously, we're all on. BMX Association, Jeff, you're on that right now, right? So
Yep,
is that
I only
something
went to
that
one
you?
meeting so far, so.
I really appreciate that you went to the meeting though, and that's.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to continue in that role?
Yeah,
or-
I would
okay.
like to continue with it.
Anybody else have any issues with that?
Nope.
Okay. Community Education, that's the one I'm on.
What exactly is that?
We meet about once every month, and in the summertime, I think it slows down. It's probably about 8 meetings a year, I suppose, by the time you add it all up, but summertime and then around Christmas time, they don't have a meeting, but it's usually, I think, the first Monday, first or second, it might be the second Monday, actually. Yeah, basically the community education is, the pamphlet that you receive in the mail every, I don't know how often we send them out. Is it every quarter, Is it every quarter? Yeah, or maybe twice a year? Yeah, I don't remember exactly how often they send them out, but it's really kind of a brainstorming session. A lot of it is, how do you promote the activities that they have going on? What activities should we kind of be focusing on, and, are there different ideas that we can come up with for things for people to do? And, I mean, you get some strange conversations going. I mean, I think there was one class they did one time was goat yoga or something like that. Is that a thing still? Yeah?
I went to one of those meetings too as just kind of like a curiosity. It was interesting too. So.
Yeah, it's a fun board to be on, but I mean, I'm not, I mean, if somebody else wants to take that on, I have no problem with that, but,
I'll do it.
you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll be an interesting one for you.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff they talk about
Problem with that, if
interesting.
that's what you want to
Yeah.
say.
Because you only had that one, I think, right? So, but of course, that's only the two I had, so.
Yeah, I believe the BMX is the second Monday of every month.
Well, so that might be the same night then. Do you guys remember exactly what? I don't have my phone on me.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember when the next meeting is, if it's, and this month, I don't know if it was, with the holiday and stuff, if it was off. I have it written on my calendar.
What time
at
is the
home, but
BMX meeting at?
6.
Okay, I think the school.
This one is at 5:30, I think, normally, yeah.
But I don't know which Monday it is. I mean, could we do
They're looking right now, but, okay, well, let's move on to that.
Question mark.
Yeah, question mark on the community ed. So, Cable TV liaison, is that, trying to remember, who is that even? Is that,
It's the cable network.
no, I know, but who's on it right now? Is
I
that,
am.
are you are right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I haven't,
So
I think I've gone to one meeting in 14 years.
Yeah.
at the LMC, one of the LMC meetings, they had Warner Bros. Come in, and they were talking more about there might be some sort of resurgence in a different direction than cable TV, but I don't know if so would it be like broadband internet, or, could we change that to cable TV and internet? Like, I don't know if we ever had any sort of plans to sort of go into an agreement with the provider as internet as a city, I think that's more what it would be for. Like, back then, that's probably what it was more used
The
for.
only time we ever met was to renew the easement,
Sure.
something or other, and that was back when Don Morrison was city administrator.
And we already kind of do that anyways as a city, if there's.
Yeah, I mean, is there really a need to even have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
No?
go away with that.
Mayor and council, not that I'm aware of, I mean, since I've been here, in 10 years, I haven't heard of anyone having to attend or being invited to attend a cable
Okay.
TV.
I mean, unless you're, you wanna just take,
It's very-
just take it off the list.
Have there
All
been
right.
meetings?
The one thing I will say before we
Have there been
remove,
meetings, or you,
I've been to one in 14 years.
well, have there been meetings that you?
One in 14 years.
So you've made 100% of the meetings.
I mean, 100% of the meetings.
Well, I'm just wondering if it,
Mayor and council, I would like to take a look at our cable franchise agreement. It may, I don't know, I haven't read that in a long time. It may
We
say
have
in
to
there
have
that
it?
we're required
Okay.
to have that board, so before we remove it, I can look further into
You
it.
can remove me and put Luke on that, as far as I'm concerned,
Just
or
put me.
Jeff, I don't care.
Okay.
It's, like I said, I've attended one in 14 years.
Okay. All right, so if we can't remove it, then you wanna go with Luke on there and,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
And I feel like the alternates, we had changed so that any council member could be an alternate for any of these, right? It would just
We
have.
did, so
yeah,
technically, we don't have to have an alternate listed on
Right.
each.
Right. Yeah, because I think we just changed that because
that was a
I think it was
mess.
specifically because of that Park and Rec board that I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make, and so it just would give us more flexibility. I think when you can't make it, you can call anybody and ask them to fill in for you, so, so I think that just,
Yeah, that was the community ed one that I went to.
Oh, was that
Yeah,
one?
that's the
Yeah,
community
you're
ed.
right,
I
and
went
that-
to it, and then we
yeah.
found out that I couldn't, but
Yeah.
it's still interesting, so.
yeah, right, that's right.
let's get to the next one.
Civil Defense Director?
What
Yeah, what is
exactly?
that?
It's been used before. If there's a civil defense problem or emergency,
Okay.
it's basically emergency management.
I don't know that we've had I think, is that one I'm on, but it's, we haven't had a meeting at all.
You are on that, Mayor,
Yeah.
and no, we haven't had a meeting again. I also don't recall any meetings in my time on that one either, but we do have a civil defense,
Oh.
a line item in our budget, so I think that might be a good one if it comes up to be that we need to meet.
I think the mayor's the best seat for that one. If we need it, that's who you want in there, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Okay, so Fire District, I mean, like I said, I think Steve has done a great job in that role, and he's got a passion for it. I'd like
I
to see
agree.
him continue to stay there.
Well, I'm still gonna stay on my stance.
Okay. How does that work if we've got a disagreement, it's just majority rules? I mean, do you need a separate motion for each one of these if we have one where we're not gonna pass them as a complete group, or?
That's up to your discretion if you want to separate it. Otherwise, it's up to the council member if they don't want to vote for the whole thing because they don't agree with one or more of
Okay.
the items. It's-
We can make a decision on that when it comes time to make a motion then, so. Icicle,
Haven't had any meetings for that.
Again, that's driven by the county, and it's been, I don't even know, 6, 7 years, I feel, since we've met. I do think it's a good meeting to have because it brings a lot of the key members within the community, whether it's the county, it's the school district, it's the cities, together to have good conversations. But like I said, the county has led that, and I'm not aware that they have any desire to continue it, but I also haven't been notified that they removed it either.
okay,
I'm fine with keeping that as mine, or you're the alternate or whatever.
okay. Any other thoughts on that one? School liaison? That's one that,
To me right now, I
Luke is,
really like that one. It's interesting and good to see what the school board's doing. I would like to stay on that one. It only meets once a month, so it's not a huge deal.
I I got no problem with the rest of those at all, none of it.
Okay. Jeff, what are you thinking there?
Well, I guess I would like to take it, depending on the community education one.
Yeah,
I feel
well,
like,
yeah,
you
that
know,
one will.
I'd like spread out the workload a little bit.
I wish and I forgot my phone on the way here, and I was like, ah, crap. But normally I don't ever need it, so, but I'd had that on there if I had my,
Well, how often do these next ones
I
like
can
meet?
tell you on the.
EI Bike Trail, I think that's met,
That's
what, once a year?
That's in January. I can't go to that one, so if you wanted to take that one, you could, certainly. The only reason I took that one is because the county park board, we worked with, the county to make a comprehensive plan on like a bike trail, connection from North Branch to Cambridge Isani. That was the only reason I really took it, and nobody else seemed to have interest, but you can definitely take that one. I won't be able to make it to this one this year, so. that'll be
Bike walk trail?
Yep.
and I think that is just the one meeting
It's
every
just
year.
one meeting, and there really isn't a lot of substance to it, but I think because there's an agreement between the city and the county on who's involved, they have to hold a meeting once a year. Last year, there was only a few of us there.
I think isn't it the city of Cambridge and us that have that joint powers agreement? It's the county, I don't think is part of that one, is it?
The township, Isani Township, Cambridge Township is a part of it.
City of Cambridge.
Does the county go to that? I don't know if I ever.
But the county engineer is
Oh,
supposed
yeah, the county
to.
commissioner does go, because I've
Yep.
seen.
Yeah, Bill Berg
Terry
was there
used-
last
okay.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it held
Okay.
at the county?
Yeah,
government
No,
center?
well,
it's at the
not-
government center.
It is at the
It's
government
at the
center,
government center, we also go out to the trail.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did once.
Okay, yeah, last year it was really unorganized, so there was
Yeah,
some
you meet up at the
confusion.
government center.
There was some confusion on exactly everything, but yeah, you're more than welcome to take that one. I would like to keep the Chamber of Commerce and the school board one, because I think those are pretty interesting, and I like going to those too.
Bike Isani County Committee, what the hell is that?
So it does look like community education
think we
is
had any
maybe the
meetings for
fourth
that either.
Monday.
Community Ed's the 4th.
What did you say? That does not sound right. Well, how about, because do you have an email from me at all when the last time, and it was the fourth Monday? Oh, well, maybe it is. Yeah, maybe you're right then.
I
Yeah,
can-
I'm not the good guy at, remembering where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there.
Gotta have the calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a calendar.
Okay, well, yeah, you could do that then if you wanted to. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take down.
Okay.
And that's every month, or 8 times a year?
It's yeah, about, because in the summertime, they really don't have a lot going on as far as meetings and stuff goes. It kind of matches the school year for the most part, so.
And just for clarification, weed inspector?
It's an extremely important job.
I mean, it's legal now, right? I'm just kidding.
That's not the,
I know
I don't
it's
think
not.
that's the weed
I
they're
know it's
talking about.
not.
All right, I feel like I'm participating now. I'm on 3.
I appreciate you wanting to get involved in taking some of them.
Yeah,
That's-
it's,
I think it's important too.
I see a lot of mayor and Merrill on there, so I was like, we can even that out a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate it too.
So do I. I've been double timing all year. Mm-hmm.
All right, so the rest of that we want to leave the same, so we're looking to change community education to Jeff and Cambridge Isani Walk Trail.
Yep.
That one's going to Jeff,
Yep.
Councilmember Holmgren.
Okay. So moving on to the number 2 on this, so the mayor pro tem, Luke's expressed an interest in it. Steve, you're currently in that spot right now, and typically, I guess this is kind of a decision that, I don't know if the mayor has made it in the past, or if we've just kind of asked for volunteers, or,
Mayor's usually made it.
Yeah,
Okay.
usually.
Recommendations.
yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, would you like to continue in
I
that
can
role? or what do
continue,
you-
like I said, I just got another year left on my term. If I run again, I won't know until November.
Okay. Jeff, you got any interest in that, or?
No, not at this time, but I would support Luke. How many years have you been doing the mayor pro tem there, Steve?
Couple.
Couple?
Yeah. I'm gonna be pretty blunt. You got a hard on for me. Just keep it up. Yeah, you do.
No, it's just,
Yeah,
I
you
believe
do.
it should be, spots should be rotated.
Well, I think, and I've missed any meetings anyway, so it's not really much of a position, but,
No, I don't really miss meetings either.
yeah,
I'm pretty flexible with my schedule.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that, it is hard for you sometimes to be here on some of the stuff, but I don't think we ever had anybody, we never had, nobody's ever made it hard for any of the mayors I've ever seen. You guys are, you mind playing rock, paper, scissors? No, I don't know that it's really all that important. Let's, for right now, Steve, why don't we have you stay in that role for right now? And, I mean, we can always change that down the road if it becomes more difficult for you to make meetings and stuff like that, but just, you know, I mean, I think that might just be the easiest thing. So,
I guess I kind of disagree. I don't feel like Steve's heart's been in it as it should be. So that's why I think it's maybe good for a change in this case, but that's just my opinion on it.
I agree with that, especially if if Steve's gonna stay in the fire district spot, which sounds like you three are in, that we at least switch out the mayor pro tem then. Switch it up.
and I don't know, is that actually my decision to make on my own, or is it one that, it's never really come up, I guess, that
Mayor, I'm going to be honest, I don't believe it's ever come up. I think people have shown interest, like, yeah, I'd take it. But I do think usually as the mayor says, I'm going to choose so-and-so as the mayor pro tem in the past.
Could we wait until George is here, or?
Well, and see, I don't know if it's, but that's the thing, is it's never been one where do we know if that's actually my decision to make or not?
It's never been fought after, so I'd have to
Yeah,
look into it to be
I'm
honest.
not sure. I'm not sure what the deal is, but,
It says city council appoints.
it does
I
say,
don't know if that's a
yeah.
vote.
Well, then we would tie, so it would be, I don't know. If we
If
have a
it-
tie on it tonight, then do
if
I
it's
break
a-
the tie, or?
No, you do not break the
No?
tie on
Okay.
this one, so if there is a tie tonight, then we would bring this forward to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, well, so that would be I would like to, and maybe I don't know, if it does say city council appoints, so I don't know if that's in there for a reason that it specifically says that, or if that's at my discretion, but,
I do think that that's the way it's always been written. We just follow suit, and I'd have to look into it to see if that,
okay. Well, why don't we maybe postpone that part of it, and we'll, when we make our motion here for this, we can call that out, I guess, and we'll wait until that time comes when George is back here next time, so. Okay, and then in the meantime, you can check and see if that's actually, if it is my decision or if it is a council decision, so. Let's see, the rest of this here is pretty much decided already, I think, huh?
Yeah, because Zachary, he's the one, his term is up.
Yeah, he's got a lot of other obligations and stuff. He did a great job when he was there,
He did do a great job on the
Yeah.
park board.
yeah.
Very good leader and voice for the community.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Okay, so I guess I need a motion on this to, Jeff, do you want us to call out that fire district seat separately, or
Yeah, I would.
you prefer that? Okay. Why don't you make the motion then, Jeff, or Luke, or whoever wants to make that motion, that,
I guess I'll make the motion to go with all the committee assignments as, you want me to list each one, or as we discussed, and then leave out the fire district appointment?
I think Steve is good on the fire district, so I don't think I can second that. Just, I mean, maybe if Steve runs again next year, maybe then we switch it, but I think he's good on there. I think his heart is in that one, so I'd like to see him still on that one personally.
All right, well, so I have a motion from Councilman Holmgren. Anyone want to second that? Without hearing a second, do I have a motion to approve the, well, why don't I just make this motion? So I'll make a motion that we approve, as we discussed, with including Steve as the fire district representative, and then we'll postpone the decision on the mayor pro tem until we have a full council and until we know if that's a council decision or the mayor's decision.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion from myself and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1. All right. Well, that got a lot messier than I thought it was going to there, so. Gotta give
Steve,
those,
it's
gotta
not-
give those
it's-
boys in the back something interesting.
I don't think it's too horrible.
No.
No.
Okay, so K2, resolution to designate an official newspaper appointing depositories and professional services.
Thank you, Mayor. So annually, excuse me, we do designate certain institutions and organizations for functions within the city. This is the depositories, which we have listed as Falcon National Bank, RBC Wealth Management, and Oppenheimer and Company, Inc. City attorney is Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney. City engineer is Bolton and Mink. Our benefit consulting services is NFP. I will add to that one that they recently were bought out by another company, so perhaps we may have a new name coming with that. Prosecuting attorney is GDO Law. Agent of record for workers' comp and property and casualty insurance is Marsh McLean Agency LLC. City auditor is Abdo. Financial advisor, Northland Securities, Inc. Bond counsel, Taft, Stetness, and Hollister. Building inspection services, Run River Consultants. We also have that for the official newspaper of the city, because we can, by statute for 3 years, go with the same newspaper we have. We are recommending to continue to provide services to our residents with Isanti-Chisago County Star, which is they have provided a rate of the same as last year of 2022 and 3, at a rate of $2.10 per column inch, 9 lines per inch, with 1,475 in distributions in the Isanti zip code. The reason why we did not go out for quotes, and we believe that this is in the best interest of the city, is because they are not a subscription-based newspaper, and they are the only one within our area that is not currently.
So I had a question. Have we had any issues with any of those companies that you mentioned? Maybe, Mike, have you had any issues, or Josie, as far as anything you haven't been happy with any of those at all?
No, if I had issues with them, you would already know about it.
Okay.
That's what I would say as well.
Okay.
If we have issues, we would seek to terminate a contract even mid-year if need be.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept everything as is.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to, let's see, I guess this would be K4 now, I guess. Resolution to authorize engineering services for the 2024 pavement management project.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this is just to continue our pavement maintenance program that we've been doing for, I believe, 8 years now. If you look on that map that was attached, we're on the pink roads. So the roads south of Heritage and on either side of Whiskey Road. So that's Centennial, Spirit Brook, and Oakwood by the middle school, and then North Brookview, 5th Ave, 4th Ave, Brookview Court, and Rosewood Avenue. We're also looking at doing the new police department parking lot and Matson parking lot for primarily seal coat, but the first step of this process is to evaluate if it's a mill and overlay or a seal coat need. Right now, we're estimating that it's kind of half and half on how many of the streets are going to need a mill and overlay versus seal coat. But once we really dive into kind of make the plans, we'll get that part figured out.
So I have a couple questions, if you don't mind, Jason. There's like a red dotted on Railroad. Can you explain what that is at the 2032? Because I thought we had talked about, there was a desire to narrow that and put an actual sidewalk in on that street. And sooner than later, I thought it was in the capital improvement plan.
Right, so this is the maintenance program, and so the dash lines, if you look at the legend in the bottom right,
Yep.
are just when we're gonna get around to doing a maintenance pass on it. And so, I believe that segment of railroad is in 2-3 years from now.
Yeah.
And then the first time we'll come back to do an actual seal coat on it would be in that 2032 year.
Okay. So this is
So-
all maintenance, not construction.
Correct.
Okay.
And so basically the dash ones are basically the future add-on to the other of that color. So this first go of red didn't include it, but the next one will be all the red plus those dash ones, because as we grow, we have to add streets to our kind of annual program.
Okay. I have some concerns about that one. I drive on that one almost every day, and there's a business over there that has a lot of semi-traffic, and when they unload, they have the semi on the road unloading, so you really have to have that wide road. So I think the only way we ever put a sidewalk in there is not to encroach on the road, but actually to go more in the easement. I've been trying to think about a way to approach that. I know there's like that temporary sidewalk that's painted on, but if you get rid of that road space, there's not enough room for 2 vehicles to go by that semi, which is, I mean, there's 3 semis there a day on average.
Oh, trust me, they block up the whole flipping road.
I know, I drive by every day almost, so I don't know when that's coming, but I want to make sure that's known, because maybe on a map, or maybe on this, you don't quite see that, but when you see it in real life, you kind of can understand that. And then, so I'd like to be in on that whenever we have that conversation, whenever that comes. And then I also have a pretty big concern about Heritage Boulevard. I know it's not ours, but the condition of, especially out in front of the PD and the elementary school, it's horrible. I know they are not planning on doing anything with it until 2028, and there's no way it's gonna last that long. I think it needs to be done now. So I don't know if there's some way that we can get that moving along with the county. It's kind of been a sore subject with Heritage Boulevard and how slow stuff has moved, so I don't know if we can now look into maybe seceding from the county on that and us taking over and getting some taxpayer money for it, so we can maintain it, because we know what the city needs.
I mean, I think on that topic, maybe we can talk more about that at goal setting, because I know that
Okay.
there was, when we had that joint meeting with the county, they seemed like they were
Yep.
wanting us to, and I don't know that we want to take on that responsibility, but I mean, they did seem like they were willing to give it to us, and,
But what do we do as an engineering standpoint if we can't do anything about it, but it's in our city and it's horrible condition?
right,
What-
yeah, that's.
I mean,
the-
it reflects on us.
Right.
Not them, so.
right. Yeah, I mean, technically, it shouldn't, but it does
Yeah,
in reality, yeah.
Those are the 2 concerns I have on this map, or questions, I guess.
Sure, I mean, I guess neither of those are, part of this map, but for Heritage, like the mayor mentioned, they did mention that at that previous meeting. What I tried to bring up is the idea that if a turnback is gonna happen, usually you either make the entity giving away the road, cover the cost, or redo it beforehand. I don't believe that was their motivating factor, was to not maybe do that, so I'm not sure where that would go. And it's that same idea of timeline. I guess with you guys in your situation of power would probably be the best people to kind of try and talk to the county about moving it up the list. I mean, I can talk to the county engineer, but, he has the direction from his board when the work is scheduled. Now, if there's a safety hazard type of a thing, they usually have, addressed things that have come up on a spot pothole that we identify and contact them. But aside from that, I don't know that from the engineering side of things, there's much I can recommend we do, aside from you guys kind of reach out to the county and try and push for that to get moved up. I know the curb is really bad. Specifically right along our sidewalk that's on the back of the curb, which is a bit of a pedestrian hazard. whether or not that walk is a cost that we need to take on and plan for and budget for anyway. And then what all else would, be included in work that we'd want to try and coordinate with them, is the only other piece that we need to do. We have utility crossings that we'll want to try and plan for and make sure we get our stuff taken care of when the work happens. But as for getting that surface work done, yeah, I guess it's just trying to push the county board, I guess.
Okay.
And then back to the Railroad Avenue project, that was gonna be a full reconstruct. And so, while we haven't done any survey or anything, but when that concept idea came around and was put into the capital improvement plan, it was identified that east curb line is pretty close up against the right-of-way we currently have.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of the reasons that the general talk was to move the curb over. Now that never really got into the topic of whether we could move the other curb over further, to give them unloading area, or at least, the equivalent of a parking lane on that side. But, until we actually get into design, which is in, 2 years, I believe, we'd have to get kind of the survey, figure out where right-of-way limits are, and then figure out what we can push where to fit something in.
Yeah.
To either get a grade separated walk in the exact same spot it is, or, or try and push that other curb over, or maybe we end up just figuring out that we can push both curbs out a couple feet and just make that on pavement walk a couple feet wider, just because of the constraints. But right now, until we either do a study or are gonna actually get into it, they're all on the table, and I'm more than aware of those trucks.
Okay.
Their pallets and stuff over there.
Yeah.
So,
And it's a very busy area for pedestrians and for traffic.
Yep.
And for semis.
Yep.
So, okay.
Okay, so, so the pink area, back to that. So that's what we're looking at for this year, and that's what we're talking about for this decision that we're making right now, right?
Correct, yep, we're just looking for approval to begin the engineering design process and take it through bidding, at which point then, same as all of the other projects, if the bids come in good and we proceed, we'd assist with getting it through construction as we have for the last, 8-9 years now.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution to authorize engineering services for 2024 pavement management?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to, let's see, now we're gonna call that K5, well, it would be still K5, I guess, yep. So providing I legislate to boards and commissions discussion.
So this was one that I had asked Josie about too, because when I was on just EDA, I thought it felt like there was like kind of a disconnect between the city and the EDA members. The council members are kind of privileged. We have this software which we can look at and we know when everything's coming. And I think probably, 3 or 4 months ago, Alexander had a problem and he didn't know there was a meeting, because there is a disconnect, as I mentioned during that meeting, between that. So I wanted to open up the iLegislate software so anybody can use it. So if you're on the park board, you can go in and you can see the park board agendas. Right now, I know there's Park and Recreation Board that all of us council members get, but Park and Recreation Board doesn't get it. So it's there, but they're not able to access it. So I would like to open it up to anybody that's either on EDA, Parks and Rec, Planning Commission, and so they can use it. Josie said we can add unlimited users, so it wouldn't be any cost to us. Now they would have to download the app on their phone. Obviously, we wouldn't give them an iPad or anything, but even downloading an app on your phone, I know I would be jumping all over it if I was on EDA, just so you can look at it and you kind of know for sure when you have meetings and what's on the meeting.
The one thing I will add to that, Mayor and Council, is that it's not designed for every type of device of phone. It is, was created for iPads, but the desktop version does work pretty well. I do just want to make that caveat that we won't guarantee that it will work on if this is approved by council on all members' devices of their types of phone, because some are easier and accept it versus others, so I just want to let you know
Well,
that.
it's set up for iPhones, it won't work on Android.
But it might work on desktop or iPad too, so, I mean, I think it's just, it doesn't cost us any money, and it might help a couple members be more educated on what's gonna happen, without having to depend on an email coming in or an email going to junk. When I was on EDA, a lot of the emails from the city went to my junk folder, and I never saw them, so and just the same thing happened with Alexandra a few months ago, and I brought it up then, why can't they have the software? And then they have no real excuse not to be able to be at meetings or know what's going on exactly, so.
Well, I mean, you still have to, I mean, I don't have a problem giving them the software and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean, it's just easier for people than having, you know, to lug around paperwork or print the stuff off or,
Yep.
you know, that kind of thing. But, and not that they couldn't still do that if they wanted to, but I mean, I don't know that it helps them necessarily know when the meetings are any more than it would, you know.
I guess
Getting
like-
an email to me would be more of a reminder, but,
I like to look at this software, or our program, and it says what times the meetings are.
Yeah, that is nice,
That's
yeah.
nice, so it's,
but I mean, my point is if they're not aware of it and they're not looking at the software, they're not gonna be reminded of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like it's gonna send them a notification that, hey, don't forget you have a meeting tonight, so I don't know if but I mean, for the most part, they should be responsible enough to know that they've got meetings on a certain date, or at least be able to remember to write it on the calendar, so. I can't remember what day I have it on, but I know that I can write it in the calendar, so, like with the community education, but yeah, so I don't have a problem with that. I think it would be easier for people and gives them another option. I mean, it's not a hassle for you guys to allow access to that program or anything, huh?
No, the most hassle is every 180 days, we have to change everyone's password
Right,
because they
okay.
expire.
Okay.
but that's everyone, no matter what, right?
That's everyone who has access to iLegislate.
So does each person have their own individual password?
We have to set up their own account, an individual account per person.
Okay.
Yeah, do you need a motion for that?
I would like a motion. for
Okay.
that, Yes.
I'll make the motion that we allow anybody that's on EDA, Park Board, or Planning Commission to have access to what city council does with this software. Or at least to their meetings. I mean, I don't guess we didn't really discuss that. Do we want them to see all the city council stuff too?
They would see all the meetings. Any,
All the meetings.
any meeting that's posted on our website as a meeting that's happening gets put into iLegislate.
Okay. I don't think that's, I don't think that's a bad thing if they know what's going on in city council. I like to look, I'm not on Park Board, but I still look at their stuff and see what's going on.
Well, the only thing, is there any times we have like closed meetings or stuff like that where there may be information that is not public that would get put in there, or for the most part is that?
We may be able to set up groups so they only get the packet
Yeah.
for theirs. I know
Okay.
though, for when we have confidential items, we can check a box for confidential.
Okay.
And then we can check the box of who sees confidential, so that I think we're okay on.
Okay, all right.
I'll make the motion to give them access to everything. Other than the confidential stuff, obviously.
All right, so I've got a motion from Councilman Merrill on the iLegislate being available for all board members. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Mayor, before you go on to consent, if I could add, we did find within the Minnesota State statute that for the appointment of the mayor pro tem or acting mayor, as they have it listed, it is a council decision.
Okay, so we'll wait then until
Yes.
George is here then. Okay. Anything else that you guys need to,
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Councilman Lundin. Anyone want to second that?
Has that consent agenda been changed at all since December 27th? For some reason, mine's not updating, so I can't see if anything was added or changed. Okay, then I'll second it.
And I have a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin, and I'll go ahead and second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned. Yep, and we'll